Live Long and Die Laughing, Chapter 32, God's a Show-Off. I just got home from a great weekend in California and Arizona with the Gaither Vocal Band. I've got a great job. It's a job, but I don't really think of it as work. Not that I don't cash my checks or anything like that. It's just fun. I feel the same way about work that Abraham Lincoln did. I just happened to find a little-known quote by the great emancipator, Mr. Lincoln. Quote, "My father taught me to work, but not to love it. I never did like to work, but I don't deny it. I'd rather read, tell stories, crack jokes, talk, laugh, anything but work." Close quote. So I'm in good company, but I would have needed a bigger hat. I do love what I do. All I have to do is sing close to pitch and make fun of Bill Gaither's hair to do my job. And I get paid to do it. I love America. We all flew home on the same flight. Candy Christmas and I were standing at the ticket counter, and the lady checking us in recognized me. "Aren't you Mark Lowry, the comedian?" And I don't even think she was reading it off my t-shirt either. I smiled my most humble smile. "Why, yes, but I like to think of myself as a storyteller." "Then why don't you tell us a joke?" she interrupted. I told her I'd love to, but I'm off the clock. Then Candy piped in. "If you bump him up to first class, he'll tell you one." The lady kind of chuckled as if to say, "I've heard him. His jokes aren't that good." Then Jake Hess walked up. The lady was one of his biggest fans and immediately bumped him up to first class. But Jake is a legend. I'm just one in training. I don't really like first class anyway. Those seats are too big. The food is too fattening, and if you crash, you hit first. All those poor slobs in the back piling on top of you. It could be messy. I'd rather sit in the back with all those poor slobs who will land on top of first class should we crash. But I'd try to do it gently. I had to sit on the back row, middle seat, between two people who had eaten too much. They took up their seats and half of mine. They already had the armrests up so they could expand a little. By the time I showed up, they were using the only two extension seat belts on this flight, which meant I wouldn't get one. But all the other seats were taken, so I sat there feeling like a ham sandwich. The back row seats don't recline. There's a wall that stops you, but the seat in front of me reclined like a lazy boy. So there I was, squeezed between two farm-fed frequent flyers with the guy in front of me in my lap for 3 hours. I got bored, so I checked out his dental work. Other than the one cavity in the back right molar, I think his dentist did a pretty good job. Finally, I squeezed back into my seat, laid my head back, closed my eyes, and tried to relax. I thought to myself, so, what am I going to do now? I had no idea. Then I heard what sounded like the Lord in my mind saying, "Hey, let's talk." Why not? I can't go anywhere. I got 3 hours to kill. The deacons on each side of me ain't moving. "Sure, Lord, let's talk." And I heard from God. You know, that's the coolest thing to hear from God. Sometimes I get so busy and I'm surrounded by so many people that it's hard to hear God in all that noise. He doesn't holler unless he has to. And by the time you got him hollering, you're already in a mess. He talks to us in a still, small voice. A still, small voice is hard to hear when you're whizzing by it. It's still. You're whizzing. God had put me in between two sumo wrestlers. I couldn't whiz. He had my full attention. Sometimes God gets my attention by showing off. I just looked out my office window and he's doing it right now. I'm looking at a full moon. It's bright, it's clear, and it's right between the window frame and the blinds, the perfect spot. If you don't think God's a show-off, then you've never seen a sunset over an ocean. I was down in Panama City Beach a couple of weeks ago. I watched 100 sunsets in one night. Just about the time I thought that was the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen, God seemed to say, "You think that's pretty? Watch this." Then he blew the clouds a little and revealed an even more spectacular one. I just stood there in awe, afraid if I blinked I'd miss something. I began quietly bragging on God. I told him how creative, incredible, and magnificent he was. I said, "Go on, Lord, show off." And he did. I'm just glad I didn't whiz by it.